Okay, hi. I was thinking a lot about making this video, but I finally decided that it's time to go for it. So, hi, I'm Val. I'm the host of a system, and what that means, I'm gonna explain in a minute. So, we are a system, which means that I am one of multiple alters who live in this body. An alter is an alternate state of identity, that's what it stands for. And it means that the identity of one person split up into two or more, and well, these different identities are called alters, basically. Yeah. So to explain to yourself a little bit more what a system is, I made some research and I have the links in the descriptions to be sure about information that I spread to be correct. So if I still make any faults, please correct me. Just talking from my experience and the research that I did. So, yeah. There are different types of systems. There is DID, which is the short term for dissociative identity disorder. Most of you probably know it under that term, but in case you don't, DID was like formerly known as multiple personality disorder. But that term is completely outdated. The older perception of dissociative identity disorder, DID, was really outdated. Multiple personality disorder got diagnosed with a complete different criteria. So, and yeah, how DID and what I'm going into more detailed later, OSDD develops. I'm gonna start with that. DID initially develops in early childhood, which means that if a child is repeatedly and or severely traumatized before the ages of 7 to 9, then this child is likely to develop DID. Dissociation is a coping mechanism from the brain to distance the person that experienced something very traumatic or stressful from that memories, so that this person can cope and function better in daily life. And this is like the basic of how DID develops. Initially, toddlers don't have a sense of identity. Like, toddlers don't have an identity yet. They have different states of needs and emotions. For example, they might be hungry and then they will cry, and well, they have the need of food, and this need is supposed to be fulfilled by the caregivers. So this is one state, and then they have the other state where they're really playful and joyful, and all these states are just their way of growing into a person, I would call it. So these toddlers have those states of hungry, thirsty, being playful, needing love, being sleepy, all those different states they experience because of the environment they're in, and if the needs are fulfilled properly, how the needs are fulfilled, and the experience they make in terms of emotion and social interactions, all those things, mix in with these states and make them integrate into one identity, into the child having one sense of identity that stays for their life. Their personality and their states can still shift, obviously, but initially the child develops an identity through the experiences they make. So this is the base layer of how an identity forms. And now to how DID develops. So if the child is going through severe or prolonged or repeated trauma in this early childhood, before the identity can integrate, this can disturb the integration process. So usually if a child faces something traumatic, they can turn to their primary caregivers and get the resources they need, get the love they need, and get the distraction, and learn to cope and deal with that in a safe environment. If the child who experienced that trauma doesn't have a healthy attachment to at least one of their primary caregivers, this cannot happen. And this is initially while a child can't integrate into one identity. This is how DID starts. The first split happens when the child doesn't integrate. I will probably make a different video on how my experience of that was. And so a system forms when a child can't integrate. And yes, this happens before the ages of 7 to 9 at latest. That it can happen earlier, it can happen at the age of 7 to 9. It's different for every person, but the integration process is finished between the ages of 7 to 9. So the trauma has to happen before that in order for a child to develop DID. As to other alters being formed, like if you guys know DID, you probably know that DID systems can have a lot, and I mean a whole lot more than just 2. It can even be multiple hundred different alters. This is completely normal for a DID system. So the other alters are created throughout life. They can be even created after childhood, in early adulthood, in late adulthood. They can be created at any time. Just the initial first split has to happen in early childhood. So what I'm saying is that everything that is perceived stressful or traumatic by a system can cause them to split even further and split into more alters. So even if it's just something minor in the eyes of like society or whatever, if a system needs resources and alter to cope with something, then they will very likely split up and develop an alter to do that for them. In other cases, they might just shift their roles that the alters have. This is also something that happened to one of my alters. I think he's gonna make a video about that too, if you're interested. But I'm trying to stay on the scientific part for this video. Okay, I think I covered DID, like the basics, pretty much. So I'm gonna go to OSDD because that's really important, and it's not portrayed enough in the media. So I'm gonna go to OSDD and explain to you what that means and what it's about and what is the difference to DID and all that stuff. Also, hydration check. Drink water, guys. Water is important. Okay, so OSDD. OSDD is categorized into different subterms. There are OSDD 1, which is further subcategorized into OSDD 1A and OSDD 1B. And then there's OSDD 2 and OSDD 3. I will not cover OSDD 2 and 3 because I'm not differentiatedly researched that, and I'm not affected by it, so I can research it and make another video about that if you guys are interested, but for now I will only cover OSDD 1A and OSDD 1B, specifically OSDD 1B. If a person doesn't meet the full criteria for DID, they are really likely to fall into the criteria of OSDD. So, OSDD 1A basically means that an individual has different dissociative states, but they're not distinct enough to be categorized as alters with their own sense of identity. OSDD 1A is also categorized by experiencing amnesia between those dissociative states, and that it's pretty much on the edge between being a system and not being a system. So there might be people with OSDD 1A that categorize themselves as being a system. There might be others that don't. That is totally valid. If a system tells you something from their personal experience, you should always listen to them and believe them what they are telling you. What they are experiencing is completely valid, so at least for their system, this is how it works. Just a little reminder, if a system tells you about their personal experiences, what they are experiencing is valid, no matter if it meets the scientific research that I am telling you right now or not. Just to make sure that you know this. Now, I'm moving on to OSDD 1B because this is something that is affecting a whole lot of people. without them being portrayed in the media at all. And this is like, it's really problematic. So this is also why I'm making this channel. I'm going to talk really much about OSDD 1B, because I personally, I can say that I'm a system. I don't have a professional diagnosis, but I am a system. This is something that we experience, and this doesn't require a diagnosis. Also, I'm not sure if I have DID or OSDD 1B, but the OSDD 1B diagnosis, which is the one that I'm more likely to have, doesn't exist in my country. So even if I wanted to get a diagnosis, I probably couldn't get one. I'm going on just with the information. So OSDD 1B is people have multiple alters who all have their own differentiated sense of identity, like in DID. The difference between DID and OSDD 1B is basically DID is portrayed by a complete barrier of amnesia between each alter, and OSDD 1B is not. While a DID alter might not experience anything that happened before they switched in and took control over the body, called fronted. This is the term we usually use. So while a DID alter might not experience what happened before they were fronting, they might lose time. They might even not remember who switched in and what happened to the body. They might just wake up in the morning and think it's the 3rd of April and actually it's the 5th, and they haven't been fronting for 2 days straight, and they don't know what happened, what the body did, what the other alters did, might not even know who of the other alters were fronting. So this is how amnesia looks in DID commonly. And in OSDD 1B, this is not the case. While most OSDD 1B systems experience emotional amnesia, most don't experience those amnesia barriers between the alters to an extent where they don't remember what happened, where they were, which date it is, and so on. They don't lose time initially. They will probably remember where the body went. They will probably remember who the body talked to. They will remember which alters were out. They will most likely be very confused when they switch in the body, because, well, you just switched into a situation that you didn't really know of. But as soon as they like look around and find out what is happening, they will remember, because the amnesia barriers aren't that high or are not there at all. That's different for each system. So I'm having covered a wide range of amnesic experiences here because, well, personally, I do experience amnesia to a certain degree. Other systems might not experience amnesia at all. It's, again, different for every system. Most systems that have OSDD 1B will remember what happened and where they are, at least after like a short period of a couple seconds where they just need to orient themselves and find out what's going on. As to the emotional amnesia, it basically just means that if an alter switches in, they will know what happened while the other alters were fronting, or they will know to a certain degree what happened while the other alters were fronting, but they won't emotionally connect with it. And I think I covered most of it, actually. If you want to see more videos about DID, OSDD, or multiplicity in general, then, I don't know, you can follow my channel, I guess. And yeah, I don't know if the video ends here, or if Tim has to say something in another clip. But, yeah. This is Val. I'm the host, and I hope you enjoyed my video. So, goodbye. Okay. Hey, what's up, guys? I'm Tim. I'm the primary protector and caregiver of our system, and I don't know if this clip would be cut in front or in the back or in the middle of a video, so I'm just gonna say hi. And I'm gonna make a disclaimer about this channel. We will delete hate comments. I don't know if it's like self-explanatory or not, but we don't need hate on this channel. If you have criticism, please give us criticism. If you have feedback, go for it. As long as it's like, you know, criticism and not hating. So, yeah, we will totally, please give us feedback. Please critique us. just don't hate, because that has no possible positive outcome. This will not help anyone. We will delete hate. I will delete all your hate. Just clarifying that. What did I wanted to say? If I made some notes here, I don't know if they covered all of it. I don't know. I don't know if she covered any of it. Probably did. Sorry, I'm a bit lost right now. So, basically, we're a system. We have OSDD 1B or DID. We don't have a professional diagnosis, but you're not supposed to accuse of us faking. You're not supposed to accuse anyone of faking, because you can't look in the head. The only people who know if they are a system is the system themselves, and if they are honest with their therapist, and the therapist is professional and educated, their therapist. So, you are not supposed to judge if someone is a system. You're not supposed to accuse anyone of faking. There was a huge backlash for some systems on TikTok last autumn and winter, and we are gonna address this in another video, because this is not okay. As for this channel, we really invite you into discussions and criticism and feedback and all of that, but at the point where it starts to just accusing people of faking, we're not gonna let it stay that way. This is our boundary. Accusing us of faking is not okay. Spreading hate is not okay. So just stay polite, stay kind to each other, and stay kind to us. I feel like Val made this notes for himself, so I'm gonna leave explaining that up to Xem. Yeah. Hydration check, everyone. Hydration is important. Yeah. I don't know if we're gonna make another Meet the Authors video with more of us. I think we are gonna make a video on our personal experiences being a system. At least I'm really interested in that, so I'm gonna do it, probably. I don't know if you want to see it, but I'm gonna do it anyways, probably. I don't know. I feel like it's important. Also, I plan on doing a video about grounding and coping with triggers and stuff like that. So I'm gonna make that. And for now, I'm gonna refer you, if you want more information about that, to the links we put in the descriptions and other systems that we either watch, we find educational, we find very representing, or we just find a good place to start if you want to know more about DID OSDD. So for DID, we can definitely recommend DissociaDID. It's a system on YouTube. They make regular videos and sometimes even streams. They have a lot of educational videos. They have some videos where they give advice, and they also have some personal videos where they talk about their experience. So I can totally recommend that channel. For OSDD systems, I think I can totally recommend the Ring system and Nerdy Enby and Ace. Those two channels are a good place to start. Yeah. If you want more recommendations for other channels, then feel free to ask and we can look some up. But yeah, for now we're really thankful that you watched this video, and I hope we could spread some information, and yeah, goodbye.